Oh, it's official, like a referee with a whistle. So like and share this episode. So there's a lot of women out here that's thirsty, and they're paying guys for some attention. Yeah, I know that might be hard to believe to some people, but this is nothing new. This has been going on forever, really. I've heard about scenarios like this when in the 90s. I started traveling all over the place, worldwide. Um, Especially older women, women that aren't so attractive, or at least they don't look the way they used to look when they were younger. They're not getting as much attention as they used to get. So a lot of older women, especially, realize that I'm gonna probably have to go over beyond in the Call of Duty. I'm probably gonna have to do more than I normally would do with a guy. Being that she's an older woman, she don't look the way she used to. Maybe she got some weight on her. Maybe she hit the wall. And maybe she just looking for some fun, some weekend fun, overnight fun. It ain't necessarily got to be overnight. It could be just a couple of hours for some attention from a younger guy. At least a guy that she's attractive to, a guy that she thinks is sexy, you know? Because you have some of these women are actually married. They probably been married for a long time. And sometimes some people get bored. They get bored and want to try out something new, something nice and fresh, young, attractive. At least she thinks the guy is attractive. She might think the guy is sexy. She might think the guy is sexy. She probably been doing the routine thing for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And she's like, man, I just want to have a different experience for a change and go back home to her family and be grandma. You know, this happens all the time. Nothing new. You got women that take trips. They might go to Mexico or go to the Caribbean islands and go down there, wild out, try out some new D, and for like a week, and go back home and be wife and grandma again. You know, and then you got some women, they just might need a boyfriend on the side. It ain't got to necessarily be a younger guy. He could be just another guy. And she don't necessarily care, how much money the guy make, or she don't even necessarily care if the dude got a woman. Just as long as you got your own place to stay, your own household, place to stay, someplace they can go to handle their business. She good with that. The job don't matter. The income don't matter. As long as you have a car and you can take care of yourself. She just need a guy on the side every once in a while. Maybe once every 90 days, something like that, or once every 6 months, something like that. She just need somebody to hold her, because her husband ain't doing it no more, or he can't do it no more, or he don't want to do it no more. That happens. That happens a lot, especially today with um people aren't in the best health today. Some people on medication, popping some type of pill, or a lot of guys can't get up for whatever reason. Could be a health thing, or he just ain't attracted to the wife no more, or attracted to his girlfriend no more, or this woman no more. That happens a lot. So she don't necessarily want to leave the dude. She don't want to break up the marriage, but she just want to do something different every once in a while. That happens all the time. It ain't nothing new. It's been going on. I've heard scenarios, all kinds of scenarios like this, you know. And then this is how you get into the underworld. You got the swingers, and you got people that want to have threesomes every once in a while. You know, that's how a lot of this gets started with a lot of these couples. You know, and I'm not saying anything wrong with it. Look, people can do what they want to do. If they're in a relationship, if you're in a relationship with a woman or a man, you can do what you want. Y'all can do what y'all want to do. There's no rules. Y'all make up your own rules. What y'all want to do, as long as y'all responsible. You know what I'm saying. There's no rules saying that, hey, if you're married or in a relationship with somebody, that you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. No, as long as y'all have an agreement between each other, y'all can do what y'all want to do. You don't have to tell your friends and family what's going on. Most of the time, they don't care what y'all doing, to be honest, because they're doing their own thing. They got their own problems, own challenges and stuff they have to deal with in their own families, if they got them. So they have enough that they can handle as it is. So they don't really care what y'all got going on. They might wish y'all the best. That's it. But so there's no rules. Y'all can do what y'all want as a couple. That's usually how that go. But you have to understand that in today's time, with the expansion of the internet, um, and even certain countries, women have more option and opportunities today. But women don't really need guys to take care of them as much as they used to, especially if you live in a big city. If you live in any of the major cities in America, or really around the world, really, everything is set up for convenience. You got Uber, you got all these delivery services. You got the food apps, the delivery apps, the ride share apps. Everything is set up for convenience. So as long as you have money, a lot of women can afford to pay for stuff. They can afford to pay for anything. So a lot of women look at the paying for a man just like they look at paying for food in certain aspects. Because just like they like the food, they like the man. They're attracted to the food just like they're attracted to the man. So they be like, okay, I can afford to pay. I can afford to. Now when I say pay, it don't necessarily got to be cash in hand all the time. It could be. It could be like taking a guy shopping to the mall or something like that, or flying the guy out. You know what I'm saying? It could be like that. It don't necessarily got to be cash in hand, but it could be. It just depends on the guy. It depends on how far the woman would want to go. Some women would just take the guy shopping, or just buy the guy some clothes or something that he probably would like, or something like that. It can be direct or indirect. A lot of older women do this stuff, and the young women do it too. And this is when a woman is really attracted to you in certain aspects, because it's hard for a woman to come out of her pocket with some money to give it to a guy. If you really think about it, I'm talking about in the Western world, in North America. If a woman comes out of her pocket to give a guy some money, oh, that says a lot. That says she really attracted to that guy. You know, because the average woman, man, they ain't giving you no money if they don't like you. Most of these guys, I don't know if you know this, most of these guys, um, they these women ain't really spending no money on them. You know, it's like because the assumption is if you're the man and I'm the woman, that the man should always pay the majority of the time. That's the assumption. And that's how we grew up. We grew up like that. The man should take care of the woman. You know, that's the kind of the I guess the law of the land, the lay of the land, you know what I'm saying? You know. But then there's certain aspects, you know, where it's like a woman will come out of her pocket and pay. This is how you know a woman is really into you. But this doesn't happen every day. And this doesn't happen, well, it probably does happen every day, but it doesn't happen all the time, you know. And there's certain types of guys that this works with. You know, you got the gigolos, and then you got some guys that just know how to spit game. They got a mouthpiece on them. So not only is the woman highly attracted to the guy, he got a mouthpiece on him, and he knows how to actually motivate this woman to give him some money, you know, and to take him shopping and fly him out. And man, it's like there's been women that I've known that have left their husbands, left the guy that they're with to be with another guy that probably in your mind you would say he has less, but she got a new place, got divorced from that one guy, got a new place, moved a new guy in, and she took care of the guy. You know, maybe he had a job, maybe he didn't, you know, but you know, maybe the guy was struggling or whatever the case may have been. But the point I'm trying to make is she didn't really care how much money the guy was making. Yeah, he went to work, took care of his responsibilities, but that ain't the reason why she got with the guy. She got with the guy, the new guy, because of how he made her feel. You know, that's what it really comes down to. She was highly attracted to him, you know. That guy, the new guy, kind of opened something up in her that's probably was laying there dormant or probably never been activated before. Her husband probably never activated before, you know. So this is how you might see a woman married to a guy for 10, 20 years or whatever, and all of a sudden she'll just flip on her husband and basically rip the whole family apart and leave him, divorce him, get with a new guy, and the family will be looking like, what's wrong with mama? Mama just left dad like that, you know? Or mama might have got caught cheating with a new guy. They might have found out about it. And the kids is looking at her funny style, the husband looking at her funny style, you know, like what the hell's going on? And that new guy opened a can of worms. He activated something that was in her, made her feel a certain type of way. And this woman is not only is she being pleasured, she's giving the guy money, taking the guy shopping. They going out of town together and doing all kinds of shit together. She's doing shit with the new guy that she ain't done with her husband in years, probably 5, 10 years. As a matter of fact, she might didn't. She might didn't have. She might never. She might probably didn't have a desire to sleep with her husband for 5 or 10 years. And if she did sleep with her husband, it was the lazy suck, that type of shit. You know. So this type of stuff happens all the time. But then again, there's some women that will stick it out. They'll stay married, but every once in a while, they'll slide out with some guy, that tickle her fantasy and have her going, man, losing their mind. you know, it happens all the time. You got women that take, like I said, they take trips and go to the Caribbean islands. This has been going on for, I heard about this in the 90s. So it more than likely it's been going on before I found out about it. Just like you got guys, if guys are flying out with the passport, going to these countries, women been doing that. Women been doing that way before guys have been doing it. And now some people would say, well, why do women take chances of going to these countries, putting themselves in danger and everything? Well, the urge for good sex is powerful. So women will they'll put themselves in danger just to feel alive, and even if it's for one night or a few hours, that's why they take those chances, because they and the thing about this, you getting on, these women are leaving California, New York, Florida, the Midwest. They're flying 3, 4, 6, 8 hours away to feel a certain type of way, to have fun, like they always say. They're spending thousands of dollars just for one weekend, just for 1 week, to Jamaica, to St. Thomas, to the Caribbean islands, places like that, to Mexico, So, and this is an annual thing for a lot of these women. This is not like something that happens every once in a while. No, they do this all the time. They do this every year, at least, And the funny thing is, you got some guys, they've been married to these types of women forever, 10, 20 years. And they're cool with it. They're cool with it. They don't, I'm not going to say everybody's cool with it, but they go along with it. And they know what's going on when, because it's been going on for a long time. They cool with it because I think a lot of guys look at it like, well, it's cheaper to keep her. I think that's how a lot of them look at it. It's cheaper to keep her, because if he interferes and puts his foot down and say, hey, you ain't going nowhere, they know what's coming next. The divorce papers, But if he goes along with it and just keep the peace, they look at it like, well, I might not like everything that's going on, but at least my wife and kids are still together, and I don't have to go to court and deal with that system. That's why I think a lot of guys kind of go along with it. But at the same time, a lot of these guys probably been chumps even from the get-go. They these women probably were calling the shots on their ass probably a long time ago. So, but there's a lot of different dynamics when it comes to these relationships that play out, man. You know, but women are thirsty out here. You know, a lot of women have suppressed their sexuality for a long time, and a lot of that has to do with religion, how they were raised, and the environment where they're at, and how they grew up, and everything. You know, and sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. It just depends. You know, there's no one scenario that works for everybody or every group of people. You know, some of these women kind of you know, I don't believe all women should be buck wild and be sleeping with everybody that they come across. You know, there has to be some type of checks and balances. You know, it has to be. You know, it has to be something within society that says, "Hey, that ain't cool." It has to be some type of standards, morals, values, or whatever. But the thing about religion takes it, in my opinion, it takes it too far. Religion suppresses um women, how they feel, and just womanhood in general. Religion takes it too far, you know. And a lot of times, a lot of these guys within these religions, they're not really into women like that. That's another thing that nobody talks about. They're not really into women like that. They're into little boys and everything else for the most part, especially within the Catholic Church and these other, you know, these other groups. There's a lot of, because see, I used to assume that um when we say a prayer, I used to assume that all of us is praying to the same God, or you know, but no, that's not true. Some of these, everybody ain't got the same God. Every, everybody ain't got the same Jesus. Some of these people, they praying to something else when they say they prayers, you know, and that's what I've learned over the years, you know, and then but just like with anything, there's some people go along with religion, regardless of how it came about in the history and the activities and the degenerate things that go on within a lot of these religious practices. You know, they go along with it anyway, regardless. Just like most people know that these Catholic priests are foul. They've been um, preying on kids for over 200 years. Most people know this. That's what that are Catholics. They know it anyway. But do they stop being Catholics? No, not at all. You know, they don't stop being going to the Catholic Church. They still keep going. You know, because it's like they're sheep. That's just what it is. You know, so you know it's today, man. If you just want sex from a woman, it's much more easier than ever than before because women have more options, especially with the expansion of the internet. Women have way more options because and they don't have to really settle for guys in their country, in their city, in their state, in their small little town. A woman can get on an app and be talking to a guy that's on the other side of the country or on the other side of the world today. So women have options. They have options for income opportunities and everything. So, and some guys kind of have a problem with that because some guys will say, well, you know, it seems like the more opportunities women have, um, the worse things get. And in some cases, that's true. In some cases, that is true, right? I can kind of understand where a guy would be coming from if he was to make a statement like that. But at the same time, it's like I said, women don't really need guys to take care of them as much as they used to, right? But at the same time, at least this is how I look at it. At least I know the women that are around me aren't going to be around me because they have to. They're around me because they want to be around me. So they won't be around me. So I won't be tolerated by a woman. She won't feel stuck, you know, because I always look at it like the door is always open. You know, no one is ever stuck. You know, if they want to leave, they can always leave. And I like it that way. So if a woman's around me, or talking to me or spending time with me, she's around me because she wants to. It don't have nothing to do with no money, none of that, or kids or any of that. So I like it that way. I like things to be. I like women to be free to do whatever they want. They can come and go. You know, I'm not saying they can come and go when they want out of my life, not like that, but they're free. They have free choice. I like women. I like the relationship to be like that with me and women. That's how I like it. So I think that's, in my opinion, is an advantage. I use that to my advantage. That's how I see it. But see, in the past, what would happen is you would have women get with guys because they didn't have a choice. It would be one of those things where they get with a guy out of survival. You know what I'm saying? They get with a guy because they had to settle. They had to survive. Now I don't necessarily like that. You know, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen today. It still happens in certain aspects, certain places, certain countries, around certain groups of people, religious, etc. Right? You know, but I don't like it. I'd rather women be free to do whatever they want to do, have the options to be with the guys that she want to be with. That's how I see it. Those are the type of relationships I want. So it just depends on what type of relationship you want, you know. But that's where we are today. You know, women have options. You know what I'm saying? So, but with women having options, you probably gonna have to compete. You know, you're probably gonna have to compete, whether you know it or not. Whether you know it or not. Because a lot of the women you're gonna meet, they already have a Rolodex of guys. You ain't gonna be the only guy she's talking to on the phone. So you're competing against other guys, whether you know it or not. You know, and that's okay. You know, that's okay. But I know it's a lot of control freaks out here. A lot of guys are control freaks. You know, they want to kind of pin a woman in a corner and be able to manipulate her and get her to do what he want to do and all that shit. And see, that's a problem. That's the problem with a lot of them guys out here. You know, they don't want to have to do anything to get the girl. They just want her to a lot of guys just basically want her to lay down and surrender to be with him. A lot of guys have this mentality. Like they shouldn't have to talk. You know, this look at look at what I got, and she should just buy in and agree to be with me. You know, that's no, not in this day and time. Those days are, it's kind of over. Now there's some women that have that mentality, but very few. You know, very few. Now, other countries, that mentality exists for sure. You know, certain cultures, certain religions, certain people. Yeah, for sure. But in North America, it ain't a lot of that. Yeah, women have more income opportunities. With the expansion of the internet, women have options. Women are, and since some women are willing um, to compete for certain guys too, they're willing to do it. They'll be like, hey, I'll date you. I mean, somebody that her parents wouldn't even approve of, she would date and even get married to. You know what I'm saying? So things is kind of changed out there today. You know, and some women are willing to take risks, take chances that probably no woman in her family have ever done, or even tried, or even thought about trying. So, I think if you're in the 20s, today, this is in my opinion, it's a good time to be alive, and you know, try to live your best life and figure out what you want to do career wise. You know, upgrade your skill set and find out what you like, what you don't like. Try a lot of different things until you find out what you like, and try to be around, put yourself around some forward thinking people, and everything usually take care of itself. Now, are there going to be some ups and downs? Yeah, that's a part of life. Are you going to fall down and you're going to have to get back up? Yeah, that's a part of life. It's look at it like a learning curve. Look at it like you know, that's just part of your education. That's all. But the good news is, in my opinion, is you can meet the woman you can meet today could be anywhere, all over the world. You might be talking to a girl in the Caribbean islands, or could be in Australia, or could be in Brazil, could be in Europe, or could be you on the West Coast, she on the East Coast. The possibilities are endless today, and the internet has a lot to do with it. That's all I'm saying. So you know, and there's more women than guys on this planet. So no guy should be without a woman in some way, shape, or form. You don't necessarily got to be married, but no guy should be without a woman. And not in this day and time where the opportunities are endless. I mean, I can get on my app right now and be talking to a woman within 5 minutes. You couldn't do that when I was growing up. You couldn't do that when I was growing up. That was impossible. You couldn't be talking to somebody in Brazil or Australia or Kenya. When I was growing up, that's damn near impossible. I didn't know anybody from Nigeria when I was growing up, or Kenya, or from Tanzania, any of these places when I was growing up. But now, the possibilities are endless. You could be talking to somebody on the phone in 5 minutes and chatting, and the next 10 minutes you can be talking to them on your iPhone, on WhatsApp, hearing their voice. You couldn't do that when I was growing up. No. When I was growing up, there wasn't no cell phone. I remember when cell phones came out. So it's just a whole new world and a different game today. You know, if you, there's really no excuse today. You can learn from other people today. You can learn from what I've done. You can learn from other people. When I was growing up, there wasn't nobody to learn from. We had to we had to get it from the mud. We had to learn these things and go through these trials and tribulations on our own. There wasn't no book. There wasn't no book on how to meet people online. There wasn't no book on how to use the telephone. There wasn't no book. No. You can go to Amazon right now and buy a book on any topic you can humanly think of, possibly think of right now. There wasn't no Amazon when I was growing up. It wasn't. You know, things have changed. I don't even think there were Barnes and Noble when I was growing up. I don't think so. If there was, I ain't never seen it. You know, there were some bookstores, but it wasn't like it is today. So hey, this gives you something to think about. You know, like, share this episode. If you need any help with meeting women online, go to loveatfirstclick.com and subscribe to my newsletter. That'll help you out. Links will be below this video. Until next time, I'm out. Did you like that video? If you want more of that, it's right here. Boss Life Secrets on Amazon.com. And share this video. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.